Welcome back to World Studies. Hope you all had a good day. You all did the homework that was due, page 139, 140, yesterday. We're picking up with Roman numeral 2, the course of the war. This will be a two-part series of World War I as we go through it. So let's get started. As Europe rushed to war, both sides were confident that they would win quickly. Germany attacked first, France responded. Casualties climbed into the millions. The war did not end quickly. It will drag on for years with no end in sight. Letter A, initial movements. On page 311, it shows you a map that I want you guys to be looking at so you can see exactly what the world stage looked like. Sometimes I'll be saying things like the Eastern Theater, the Western Theater. The Western Theater has primarily to do with the war taking place in France that we'll learn about. If I mention anything about the Eastern Theater or the Eastern Front, that'll primarily be the area talking about Germany versus Russia. So let's get started. Number 1, Germany. Germany made the first move, but it was a tough move because it had France and Russia on either side. Yet, the Germans had planned for this possibility. The plan was called the Schlieffen Plan. The goal was to send troops through neutral Belgium, force France's surrender quickly, and then fight Russia in the east. The Schlieffen Plan was a good one, but problems quickly emerged. By invading Belgium, a neutral country, Britain will join the Allies. Belgium had been declared a neutral nation, and when it refused to allow the Germans to pass peaceably, Germany entered forcefully. By breaking the treaty, Britain entered the war on the side of the Allies. So in case you're thumbing through your head trying to remember who was on the Allies, who was the Central Powers, remember now Britain has joined the Allies. Number 2, France. The French, with British help, stopped the German advance outside of Paris. This map that's on your screen here shows us a close-up of the Western Theater. You can see Belgium located to the north, the English Channel in the northwest area, and most of this area is located in France. You can see the black dotted lines represent political boundaries. The Germans pushed through Belgium into France, and then you see that pink dotted line representing the furthest German advance as of 1914. You can see, of course, that they'd gotten a good ways, and just to the south of, or just below where you can see the line of vision, is Paris. So just a little bit further down, you would have been able to see Paris on the map. Taxicabs from Paris helped deliver troops to the front. With their combined forces, they prevented German forces from advancing and winning the war in France. Number 3, in Russia. Russia attacked Germany sooner than expected and actually won some early battles. However, German counterattacks and victories greatly demoralized the Russian army. Led by General Paul von Hindenburg, German troops defeated the Russians and seized more than 200,000 Russian prisoners. Although the Germans ended the Russian threat, they had to keep troops on the border to prevent another attack. Letter B, stalemate. Stalemate is a condition when both sides sacrifice large numbers of troops without major gains on either side. A stalemate simply is neither side's winning. While Germany was winning the war against Russia, in the Western Theater, both sides failed to gain an advantage over the other side. Both sides also used a style called trench warfare. Along their lines, they dug into trenches from the English Channel to Switzerland. These trenches made it nearly impossible to take territory from the enemy. For example, when the British carried out a series of battles along the Somme River in 1916, in 4 months they lost about 600,000 men and had only a slight gain of territory. When German forces attacked French positions, they suffered the same tremendous loss of life with similar results. The notes, this is all we're going to cover for today in notes. In a moment, I'm going to switch over to a video I want you guys to see, just to see what trench warfare was really like. Also, I'm hoping to post another video that I found on YouTube to the 7th grade playlist as well, which gives you a little more information as to what the war was like. So, let's do that right now. After the conclusion of this video, it'll be the end of the notes.
Life in a trench, I'd like to explain in one word: horrific. It's mud, it's death, it's rats, it's stench. And soldiers develop an attitude in a trench that everybody is going to die.
Life in the trench was abysmal. There were several lines of trenches, and the front line trenches, of course, were the most dangerous because they were constantly under fire. Into me!
The Germans dug assiduously, building dry, safe, and comfortable trenches for themselves, with bunkers that actually had electricity and sometimes running water. The British and French, who were convinced that they were never going to be there for that long, didn't spend nearly the same effort. And so their trenches tended to be muddy and wet and not that safe.
Disease ran rampant. It was very difficult to get any sort of sleep, a decent hot meal, keep your clothes dry, and more importantly, to keep your sanity.
There were so many health problems of just simple disease that took much more men out of combat than direct fire.
I think one word that would surprise people about life in a trench: boredom. A lot of time is spent just sitting, cleaning tools, and being scared to death the battle's going to start any minute.
Was just the day-to-day monotony, being trapped in this very small space and fighting for a war that's really fought in inches.
The idea of open warfare, of fighting out into what they called no man's land, wasn't working. The technology of the war had advanced so much with machine guns, artillery that could lob shells a mile. It became mostly a defensive war early on, and as a defensive war, you wanted to protect your troops, so the miles and miles of trenches were built.
There were often bodies buried in the sides of trenches, bodies lying out in the open in front of the trenches. The soldiers were experiencing not only the war that they were fighting at the moment, but the war that had been going on throughout those trenches for all of the years of the war.
A young lieutenant writes his mother and says, "I haven't been killed yet, but it's only a matter of time." That's typical of the way soldiers felt about life in the trench. You just did it. You existed day to day, tried to go on, keep your chin up, but one day, a bullet was going to have your name on it, and you were going to perish. You weren't going home.